Hey everyone, Xylee here, and as we all know, I am not a fan of horror games. Despite the fact I literally hate horror games, and there's not a single one I've enjoyed, I actually decided to give one a shot. Roblox Grace is a first-person survival speedrunning horror game developed by the Fartering Few, primarily the lead developer Seisman227G, or Simon from what I know. Now, what makes Grace different from games like Doors or Pressure? Well, Grace is, as stated, a speedrunning horror. The goal is speed. Go as fast as you can to evade the entities. Enough babbling, though. There's a lot to talk about for this game, so let's just get straight into it. There's a lot of different ways to move in Grace, and I want to go over all of them, from easiest to hardest. First off, sprinting is the main way to get around, obviously. You just hold shift and it's pretty simple. You can also slide by holding C or control while sprinting, otherwise you'd crouch if not running. At the beginning of the game, you're taught how to wall kick, meaning going up against the wall and kicking it off of it to gain height. You can do this twice before falling. The next trick is stair sliding, which is where you gain a large amount of speed by sliding while going downstairs. Whilst underwater, you can also do the water dash by pressing the slide button while sprinting, or the water pound by standing still and doing the same. We'll discuss water sections in the modifier chapter since there are no water sections in the base of the game so far. There are dozens of movement tricks to learn and master, along with other speedrunning tricks that I'm far too stupid and not qualified enough to talk about, but here we are, so let's just get started with some easy ones. First up is slide boosts, which is caused by jumping as soon as the player starts sliding. Doing this repeatedly reduces the amount of speed you lose and allows you to keep your momentum for longer. Chain slide jumping is where you span jump while sliding to reduce the speed loss while sliding. Slide diving is sliding mid-air and falling down. Trimping is where you sprint and slide, release the sprint button right before hitting a wall, and hope you get flung into the air. It works well when it works, and it's pretty fun, but it's a bit hard. Wave dashing is when you begin sprinting, slide dive, and then jump it right as you hit the ground. Ping-ponging is when you begin sliding downstairs and then time jumps to hit the top of the door frame for each door you pass. It speeds you up a ton and is actually one of the major speedrunning tricks used. Spam sliding is just what it sounds like. It's just spamming slide repeatedly. This is done primarily by binding M1 to crouch and spam clicking. It's insanely easy, but it isn't very fast. Every know-it-all tells you to do it, but I really don't recommend it. Wall sliding is where things get more complicated. Position yourself against a wall, hold W and run forwards, jump, wall kick, and then slide. Stop sliding and wall kick again, and then slide again. It's complicated and gives a larger speed boost than some of the other tricks, but it's just way too difficult sometimes. Wall running, although, is simpler. Hold W and D or W and A, depending on which wall you're against, and go against the wall. Wall kick, and then run, and then wall kick again to keep moving. Darting is next, which is using the earlier technique, trimping, along with wall sliding, making you fly over the map. Bunny hopping is when darting, land on a wall to regain your 2 free wall kicks, and repeat. Our final movement mechanic is corner clipping, and also the hardest trick to pull off. I am too stupid to understand how, and I can't perform it myself. I've tried. Here's what the wiki says. The player trimps and goes into a corner of the walls in front of them before doing a slide dive while holding W. After falling and reaching the side of the walls, quickly press the run button and do a wall kick before sliding and letting go of the run button. If they do it correctly, they should start clipping and phase through the walls very quickly. Note this technique is very inconsistent and may require luck to do so. Using the Hyper page or the Gooba sprint animation and the Drift King slide animation can help you do this technique a bit more consistently. I'll talk more about the wiki in chapter 7 though. As of late April 2025, there are 15 different entities to deal with. We'll go over each individually that you can find in the base game and then show off the entities in the modifier and retro game modes. Oh, I didn't talk about that yet, did I? So, when entering the game, you can either pick between 3 game modes: retro, modifier, and normal. Normal is what we've been discussing thus far. It's the base game, how it's meant to be played. I'll talk about retro and modifier in chapter 4, but for so far, let's just discuss the entities in the base game. The first entity you meet is Carnation, which holds the design of a flower with an eye in the center. Carnation can be indicated with pink tentacles filling your screen. In the next few rooms, you need to go hide from Carnation to get killed in a separate cubby. Skipping this room is almost certain death, so make sure you find it. The next entity you meet is Sight, an image of a black and white eye that glows blue. It works like eyes from doors, if you know how that behaves. To get away from Sight, you have to make sure you look away from it while proceeding to the next room. Sight also has a counterpart, Heed. Heed requires you to stare at it and is one of the most difficult entities due to how it works. I'll discuss why I struggle with Heed in chapter 5. If you break a line of sight from Heed at all, it will flash you. 2 flashes from Heed or Sight will kill you, and both count to the same sort of system. If you get flashed twice by either of them, you die. Oh, and Carnation also has a counterpart of sorts, the Slugfish. The Slugfish can be avoided by hugging the left or right wall when it comes. You'll be indicated by white tentacles instead of pink tentacles for the Slugfish. The Elkman is next, being a black humanoid figure with distorted limbs. Elkman guards doors, and if he stares at you for too long, he'll melt you from the inside out. To avoid the Elkman, you have to run behind cover as soon as he spots you, which can be quite challenging depending on what door he's guarding. The next entity I should have discussed earlier is the Goatman, who appears after hatch 1, being a goat with elongated fingers. Once the timer runs out, or if the hatch to the safe room opens, the goat man will spawn and begin chasing the player. If he appears, he will kill you if he gets too close. Flashing with your flashlight will stop him from killing you, although it just resets his position. The final two entities kind of go hand in hand. Sorrow is next to him and is literally just blood rain. If Sorrow appears, you must go under a platform such as a door frame when it sounds like lightning being struck. Otherwise, you'll be melted. The final entity that occurs in the normal game mode is Dozer, another very buggy and difficult to deal with entity, who looks like the dollar store Nirvana logo. To deal with Dozer, you must stop moving and crouch when his eyes are open. The only problem is, if you crouch while you're moving, you'll slide, and Dozer will immediately kill you. I'll discuss more entities in Chapter 4 and 5. For now, let's just take a break and move on to some of the cosmetics you can unlock. To purchase cosmetics, you need keys. You unlock one key every few levels, and a super key every 50 levels. You can level up by gaining XP, which is gained through the opening doors and progressing further into the game. Modifiers increase the amount of XP that's gained, but that will be discussed next. There are several kinds of cosmetics, both auditory and visual. Let's go over the different kinds. There are 5 animation types, timers, and soundtracks. For animations, we have idle animations. This is comprised of default, flow, psycho, T-pose, confident, sassy, and floating. For walk animations, we have default, tight, retro step, joy step, pasha, sassy, psycho, and floating. For sprinting animations, we have default, default 2, tough, locked in, hyper agape, Mach 40, goober, sassy, psycho, cop bolt, skating, floating, and tumble. For crouching animations, we have default, default 2, stick bug, snack, psycho, and sassy. Finally, for sliding animations, we have default, drift king, belly, flamboyant, laid back, sassy, psycho, roly-poly, skating, and topple. Oh, remember super keys? You need them to unlock certain things. Super keys gives floating idle, floating walk, skating sprint, floating sprint, tumble sprint, skating slide, and topple slide. That's all for animations. Next up, we have the timers, which respawns the timer seen in the bottom left corner of the screen. There are 10 different timers in the game, each being the default, it's pizza time, hat kid, retro, it's happy hour, premiere, dozing dozer, rat club, time to smile, and TV. Most of these are references such as It's Pizza Time and TV being Pizza Tower references, while Time to Smile being from CC, a game developed by the creator of Grace in the past, Premiere being the premiere of the annoying Orange on Cartoon Network, Hat Kid Timer being from Death Wish mode of A Hat in Time, and It's Happy Hour being a reference to Anton Blast. There are also soundtracks you can unlock. There are 22 in the game as of writing this and can be acquired the same way as other cosmetics, randomly with keys. Let's get started. First, we have the Mutronic Plague by Will May, Time to Smile by Richard Brown, also known as Voracious Appetite, Claire de Lune by Debussy, a classical musician, Glaggle by Daniel Crisalgo, renamed from Hot and Burning, Glass, The Rat Race by Plus Tech, It's Pizza Time by Mr. Sauceman, along with DTID by the same person, Killer John's Revenge by Vizoxy, Ultrasonic Faith by Phil C., Amen by Haze Eclipse, Savior Grace by Kasu, The Entertainer by Scott Joplin, Glucose Getaway Old Version by The Rod Mod, The Cyber Grind by Megan Echo, Collapsing Timer from A Hat in Time by Pascal Michael Stiefel, Blue Licorice by Paper Kitty, It's Happy Hour by Tony Grayson, Absolute Absurdity by Version 2 by Inceptra, Escapeboard by Salad 1021, Worldwide Noise by Class C Jitto, Collapsing Void Earth by Velio Lance, and a Universal Collapse by Dkem Dokuro. There's also a hidden trap named __ETD, only available in the test branch. Oh, and before we end this chapter, you need to reach level 245 to unlock every cosmetic, and level 550 for every super cosmetic for the super keys. If you make it to the top of the lobby by trimping, you can purchase a key crown with your leftover keys. We have a really large chapter coming up here, so get prepared. Modifiers are a bit weird. Modifiers are available in private sessions if enabled at the screen by spawn, or in a modifier run as joined on top right of the map up the stairs. If you take a left all though, you're at a custom modifier-inspired version, Retro. Retro has a few differences. The entire game is stylized as classic Roblox maps, hence the name Retro, and enables a modifier by default, the Undead Cummig. No, not the Undead Coming, the Undead Cummigan. This enables the entity Zomber spawn and gives you an item, the pistol. The pistol is the only item in Grace that actually deals damage. It holds 9 rounds and can be reloaded indefinitely. If you're reloaded on full mag, it will tell you it's cool. Enough about retro load, let's just take a look at the actual modifier game mode. At the safe room of each run, there's a modifier screen that allows you to pick from 1 to infinite if enabled in a private session, modifiers to enable. Modifiers can range from anything from affecting entities by making them harder, adding new never-before-seen entities, adding new rooms and hazards to avoid, changing things about the player, or just something miscellaneous for fun. Let's go over all the possible modifiers. For Slight and Heed, there's Big Ol' Eyes, adding 5% extra XP and allowing the two entities to attack faster. More to See also gives 5% XP, causing the same two entities to appear more often. For Slugfish, Starvation makes the Slugfish arrive and travel much faster. This gives 8% XP when enabled. Next is Boingfish, giving 2% XP. This flings the player if they touch the Slugfish's tail. For the Elkman, there's only one, Stingman, making it so the Elkman spawns and kills when touched. This gives 5% XP and disables the badge Dapped Up, as the conditions are now impossible. Dozer is the first to have 3 modifiers, Wakey Wakey, Sunflower, and To Sleep for Good. The former two give 5% XP each and cause Dozer to wake up faster and cause him to appear if he wasn't there already, and Sunflower, which makes Dozer spawn the second carnation does, pink tentacles followed by Dozer. This To Sleep for Good subtracts XP, removing 50% XP from your count and removes Dozer altogether. This disables Sunflower and Wakey Wakey, as Dozer can't wake up if Dozer is disabled. Sorrow only has 2. Double Rainbow for 5% XP, which enables Sorrow and allows it to attack twice, and Soulful Gratitude, which subtracts 50% XP and prevents Sorrow altogether. As stated, this removes Double Rainbow from being allowed to activate due to confliction. The final quote-unquote normal entity that appears in the base game is the Goatman, which his modifier at 70% extra XP, Third Circle of Hell. This sets your time to 3 seconds and removes Timed on Beat from the modifier pool. I'll explain what Timed on Beat does soon. This is one of the hardest modifiers to play on, as you have to consistently turn around and flash the Goatman to survive. I genuinely couldn't complete it. Here's some footage of my attempts though. Now, we're on to some new entities, how fun! First up we have Litany, appearing as a Dozer variant. Activating the modifier Many Many Eyes spawns Litany and gives 8% extra XP and only has one sub-modifier, Further Perspective, which adds 1 extra eye. This gives 4% XP and can be stacked up to 10 times for a max of 40 XP. Well, how does Litany work? Well, when Litany appears, you have 5 seconds to crouch or slide. Similar to Dozer, although it takes back one of the major drawbacks of Dozer and doesn't require you to stop moving. This, however, is countered by the fact that it can have 3 eyes by the base and can have up to 13 eyes. Next up is Doppel, which can be enabled through the 8% modifier, Doppel has one modifier, Fatal Error, which kills you on contact and rewards 12% extra XP. Doppel mimics your movement and can be flashed with a flashlight to allow Doppel to be moved through for 2 seconds. Doppel is the only entity that cannot kill unless you enable Fatal Error. Next is my personal favorite of all entities in Grace, Cuckoo, who can be enabled through the 8% modifier Tick Tick. This allows you to use 4 other modifiers, Ransomware for 5%, which changes the timer to $signs, Spyware for 3%, which doesn't allow you to see the striking time, effectively the same as Ransomware, Bloatware, which spawns 2 separate Cuckoos at the same time, making it harder to evade. Finally, Crudware for 3% XP makes Cuckoo sometimes skip a number. There's also one more regarding Cuckoo, Cheeseware, which makes Cuckoo spawn when the Doombringer screams. This is for 5% XP and can be enabled after enabling Cheese to meet you, which will be discussed next. How does Cuckoo work as an entity though? Well, when appearing on your screen, it will tell you to remember a number. After that, it counts up to the number, and if you're holding an item out, when it strikes that number, you die. The only way to avoid Cuckoo is not to hold out your flashlight, pistol, note, or lantern while the number is close to being struck. Or just don't use items at all. After we finish discussing all the modifiers, I can show you some secrets on how to make them easier. Now, time for the Doombringer, a mouse. Doombringer is enabled with 10% modifier Cheese to meet you, as mentioned earlier, which enables 2 more modifiers. Baloney for 2% XP, which allows 2 Doombringers to be in your inventory, and Blue Cheese, which makes Doombringer scream more often. Note that Baloney can be stacked up to 5 times. Now, how do we deal with the stupid Doombringer? Well, every few rooms, it'll begin screaming. You have to take out this dumb rat, hit it on the head, and jam it back in your pocket. It can be detected by holding out the Doombringer or looking at the icon on the bottom of your inventory. The final entity we'll discuss is Rue, who is an 8% modifier and enabled with Left to Wander. This enables 3 more, Always Nearby for 10%, which makes Rue attack much faster, Why Are You Ashamed of Good at 8%, and disables flashing Rue with your flashlight, and Won't Forget Each Other for 8%, which enables Rue's indicator when they're going to attack. Rue will sneak up on you, appearing behind the player, and slowly moves when looked at. Flashing with a flashlight will make Rue disappear unless you have Why Are You Ashamed of Good enabled. The indicator that appears in front of you also won't appear if would won't forget each other is enabled. Finally, we're done talking about entities. Well, sort of. There's 2 more we can talk about, we'll get into that later. For now, we'll discuss environmental hazards, which there's 8. Deeper than you think at 7% XP, which enables rooms with deep pits. Liquid mistakes at another 7% XP, which creates rooms with tar and allows you to use self-hatred. Self-hatred, ironically, is next, which makes tar kill you quicker and gives 2% XP. Janitor layoff, which gives 2% XP, can be stacked 3 times, which makes doors required to be kicked. Security alert for 7% XP, which makes lever rooms appear more often and can be stacked up to 5 times for a max of 35% XP. 2-factor authentication adds one extra breaker for every security room for 7%, and stacks 3 amount of times for a max of 21% extra XP. A Cordable also involves security rooms, which removes the plug modules and takes away 12% XP if enabled. Water drop is the final environmental hazard you can enable as of now, rewarding 7% XP and allowing water sections to appear. This disables 2.5D, which I'll get to in a second. Now for players, there is Marketable at 5% XP, which makes the player small. Blink at 2% XP, which makes you blink from time to time. Boot Bomb at 7% XP, which makes you explode if you don't wall kick after a short amount of time. Pipe Bomb, which does something similar at 7% XP, making sure you put down the item to prevent it from exploding. It also adds My Pipe Bomb sad face to the pool, giving 7% XP if enabled, and makes the Pipe Bomb tick faster. The last 3 are negative modifiers. Exposure at minus 10% XP for giving full night vision, one of the best in my opinion. Ping Pong at minus 50% XP for allowing you to bounce and speed up hitting a door frame while sliding. And finally, Mock Blue at minus 80% XP. Mock Blue disables bricks, totals doors, and XP, and it can be stacked up to 99 times. It makes you run super fast. Next 4 are room modifiers. Extra for 10% extra XP, get it, and adds 10 more doors per floor. This can be stacked up to 99 as well. Deladdered at 7% XP, which enables room you have to wall kick past. Malform, which makes more maze-like rooms appear and gives 5% XP, and unlocks Deformed, which Deformed gives another 5% XP and makes every room a hard room. Next are miscellaneous modifiers. How Misfortunate applies a random modifier for 3% XP. Timed on Beat, which kills you when the timer reaches 0 and rewards 10% XP. Holy Master, making safe rooms immediately open once entered at 1% XP. 2.5D, preventing you from looking up and down for 2% XP. The name beat referencing Doom. Visions of Cruelty at 5% XP, adding a border around your screen with the text "Why did you pick this?" at the top, and unlocks Way Past Cruel to the modifiers. Way Past Cruel is the last one, giving an extra 5% XP, making your vision far, far worse, only allowing you to see out of the center of your screen. Visions of Cruelty and Way Past Cruel are both referencing to the game Cruelty Squad, with the first being the Divine Light difficulty, and the latter being the CSIJ level 5 bodysuit, which is a bodysuit made of flesh. The 2 event modifiers are the Undead Kamigan, to spawn zombers and effectively make a worse version of the retro game mode for 1.337 XP, and the Epic Duck is coming for 13.37 XP. How funny. This spawns the Epic Duck, who gyroscopes to your location and kills you on touch. The only way to fling the duck back is by flashing with a flashlight, like a less aggressive goat man. A distance will also appear on screen telling you how far away the duck is, and the farther it is, the faster it'll spin. The Epic Duck is coming, and the Undead Kamigan both do not reward XP at all, despite saying they do. The final category are the 2 joke modifiers, down, 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 down for minus 999,900 XP. This disables bricks, total doors, XP, and badges. It also replaces all rooms with stair rooms, meaning you can just slide down as fast as you want. Obviously, it wouldn't be too fun. The final modifier is Mistakes Beauty at 2% XP and is borderline unplayable. It makes everything tar. The walls, the ceiling, the floor, all tar. Tar that kills you, no less. This is by far one of the hardest, only second to third circle of hell. I would not recommend using Mistakes Beauty. To add your own modifier at the start, you can go to the spawn, select the screen to create a custom room. Disable modifier votes and select modifiers and configure what you want. Now, what would I recommend? Well, if you want a fun but not changing the game much, I recommend enabling Deeper Than You Think, Liquid Mistakes, Self-Hatred, Janitor Layoff at max, Security Alert at max, 2-factor authentication at max, Water Drop if you're experienced with the water sections, if not, leave it out. I also recommend Blink, Exposure, and everything from Cuckoo. My reason for being, if you don't need a flashlight out, if you can just see everything, and entirely preventing Cuckoo from doing anything besides just being annoying. On top of this, Deladdered is fun, and Malformed can be fun, just don't use Deformed. I also like Timed on Beat and Visions of Cruelty for extra XP, but those are both optional. Add in Boinkfish, Timed on Beat, and finally Sunflower, and that's all I would use for a total of 214% extra XP. This is by far my favorite loadout for modifiers. It's not too much harder, but it's still fun, since the modifiers don't really add much challenge. If you want to bump this to 249% XP, you can enable the following I chose to leave out. Wakey Wakey, Water Drop, Starvation, Stingman, More to See, and Big Ol' Eyes. Now, it's never a Zyliac video if we don't include a tier list ranking the entities based on difficulty. This may be really controversial, but this is just my opinion. Don't come out and destroy me for this. In the S tier, Goatman is obviously the first in S tier, being its difficulty just out the window. The only other one going in S tier is Doombringer, and just watch this clip and it'll explain itself. In A tier, we have Heed. Oh, but why is Heed above Slight if it's just the exact opposite? Well, Heed is far more difficult to deal with on the account of the fact that it just sometimes decides to attack you. Locked door behind you? Good luck turning around to kick it unless you're kicked from behind. Litany is also an A tier due to the fact it's just Dozer with spam attacks. But you don't need to stop moving. I hate Litany. Rue is going in A as well. I will not elaborate on this one. Slight is in B tier, being generally annoying and slightly difficult to deal with when it's in your path. Oh, and if you have the 2.5D modifier, good luck, you'll need it. Dozer is also going in B tier. Takes a while to get used to like Slight, can catch you at bad moments, but it's generally not too horrible. Slugfish is in C tier, being it only catches up to me when I don't move in time. It's only due to my own fault. It's not that hard to dodge, it only lasts 6 or so seconds at max. Doppel is sharing this tier due to the reversing of the controls or the death if you have the Fatal Error modifier enabled. Cuckoo is by far my favorite, going in C tier due to the fact you just need to put away your flashlight. Hard to see in the dark, but doable. This also applies to the cords in power rooms, so be careful. Carnation's in D tier. First entity you meet, it's also one of the easiest to avoid. The reason it isn't in F tier is it slips me up sometimes when I don't see its hiding spot. Elkman is joining Carnation in D tier just because how pitiful it is. Sometimes you get caught up, but other times it just vanishes due to the line of sight being broken. Sorrow is also in D tier. I think I've died to Sorrow maybe twice accidentally, it's just easy to deal with. Zomber is going in F tier. I mean, you literally have a gun. I don't think I need to explain more. And finally, Epic Duck, since you literally just have to turn around and flick your flashlight. You get a distance calculator too, so it's really hard to die from. Oh, and that's all the entities. How jolly. It's time to move on to Chapter 6. Now, for the first section of the Tips and Tricks chapter. I have been curious about this question for a while now. Now, some people I know sat down and tested it, and they conclude that it gives the same amount of XP. As I wanted to do the test myself, I set up 2 scenarios. Playing on Modifier with my 214% XP boost, and playing on Normal where there's no XP boost. I went from level 234 with 80 of 100 XP to level 230 with 57 of 100 XP after around 130 doors, taking 6 minutes and 53 seconds. I also did a run on Normal, which going from level 230 with 87 of 100 XP, no idea where the extra 30 XP came from, maybe keys, to level 234 with 7 of 100 XP. This took 3 minutes and 59 seconds. I gained 573 XP on the Modifier run and 320 on the Normal run. This doesn't really check out, since we write out the math. On the Modifier run, I gained 573 XP. To make this reliable, I opened 130 doors and died right after opening them. On Modifier, 573 XP while opening 130 doors is 4.407 XP per door. Let's just round down to 4.4 for ease of use. On the normal game mode, I gained 320 XP as found earlier, meaning I'm opening each door for 2.5 XP if my math is correct. Instead of actually getting a 214% XP boost, which is what it alleges, you're only really getting a 79% XP boost, since one door at 214% XP should give 7.72 XP, instead it gives 4.4, which is way less than half of what we were promised. Maybe I did my experiment incorrectly, but as it stands, Modifier is not worth it. Now let's use the timestamps stated previously. 573 is divided by 6.88 minutes is around 83.3 XP per minute on the Modifier. On Normal, 320 XP divided by 3.98 minutes is around 80.4 XP per minute. Which makes me say that in the bottom line, playing Mod consistently may make a difference. Will it be huge? No. Since we know the rates, we can calculate how much XP we'll gain over an hour. Starting from level 0, if we ran the Modifier run for 1 hour, we would gain 4,998 XP for completing it. This is without deaths, breaks, and purely running. On Normal, we'd gain 4,824 XP, which is a difference of 174 XP for a lot more hell. To get to level 100, you have to run a Modifier for exactly 2 hours. On Normal, that's 2 hours and 4 minutes. Skills up to level 1000 mean playing Modifier straight for 20 hours and 30 seconds, while playing on Normal for 20 hours, 44 minutes, and 24 seconds. Is Modifier really that worth it if you're only shaving off 44 minutes? At well over 200% XP boost, it should save off at least an extra 3 hours of time. But it just doesn't. This made me reach my final conclusion. The best way to level up in the game is to play Normal. Not Modifier, not Retro, just Normal. I would like to talk about more of the tips and tricks with this game, but it seems we're running out of time. We're already at 30 minutes. Let's just move on to the conclusion. You can ask me any questions about the game you have in the comments. Okay, so before we end this video, I have something important to state. Where I source all of my information, of course. Well, yeah, actually, I had a video where I was supposed to talk about this. What video was that? Manhunt 2 Part 2. Yeah, those who watched my first content would notice that I said I would talk a lot more about the Manhunt 2 video soon, but I never did. The script was scrapped, and so now I get to explain all my sources here. Basically, all my sources are usually from wikis, developer posts or commentary, and my own personal experience. The source I use for this video is the Fandom Wiki at https://grace-rbx.fandom.com, which I highly recommend checking out. Finally, to wrap up this video, I just want to say thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed this video. Can you believe it's been 11 months since I began this channel? Yeah, next video is my 1-year anniversary. I hate asking this, but if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, or do whatever you want down below. It's the best way to support me and my content in the future, and I really appreciate everyone that watching and sticking around for my content. It means a lot to get all the support I do, and I really hope you all have a nice day. And stay safe out there. Ciao!